Hello and welcome to That Eurovision Site's YouTube channel. My name is Jazzy and today I am joined by...
Daniel.
Today we will be talking about Norway's national final, Melodi Grand Prix. The selection was ultimately won by group Gåte and with their folk metal song Ulven. They will now compete in the second half of the second semi-final on May 9th. I guess the first question I really want to ask is, what do we think of Ulven when it was? Do we think it was a deserved winner?
First and foremost, I didn't really pay too much attention to it initially because it's very rare a song like this wins MGP. There hadn't been a Norwegian song win since 2006. But it wasn't until the second semi-final where they performed live. I think at that point, me and a lot of people just said, it's this one, they need to send this. Because Gåte as a group, their live performances are incredible. We all saw the staging and how great it was. I think it is a deserved winner.
I personally really enjoyed this song. It's definitely grown on me since the selection. I did really like it at first, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't my favorite song of this selection. We will get onto that in a little bit more detail later. But I think the one thing that really made this pop and stand out was how they staged it at Melodi Grand Prix. The staging is quite dark, but they use lighting really well to ring home the ethereal, mysterious vibe that the song itself was trying to portray. I will also admit the really shy parts of the song, like right towards the end, I didn't even notice were even there. I didn't even notice they were in the song until really, really recently. Like the proper, there is proper metal aspects in this song, but I didn't even realize they were there because it's been done in such a subtle, classy way. And I think I really love that. And I think overall, this is a package that it was already good as a song. Like, don't get me wrong, it really, really was. But it's the staging that really, really made this come to life. And I think the staging is what really won it Melodi Grand Prix. I really hope they don't change much from the national final performance because they really, really don't need to. And I don't expect them to either because we rarely see any changes from national final performances to the Eurovision performances within our case. So I think that's a really, really good thing. So I guess my next talking point, I guess, is the other songs in Melodi Grand Prix. It's like, what songs did we enjoy? What songs do we thought deserved a bit better in the national final?
I know this isn't a popular opinion, but I really, really liked the country song Judge Tenderly of Me. It reminded me a lot of the Common Linnets and Calm After the Storm from 2014, especially in the atmosphere of it, how it was staged as well. And I think it was a really big breath of fresh air, especially in their semi-final, which was fireworks, glamour, big songs. I think they proved that you don't have to do all of that. You can just let a song speak for itself. And I also think there's a lot of other good songs like Green Lights from Mia, good vocals, good staging. Also, a few that didn't even make it to the final. Farida with Heartache, Banger. One I think deserved a lot better was A Woman's Show from Matilda SPZ, Chris Archer Slam Dunk, which,
So for me, there were several songs I really enjoyed in this selection. Obviously, Kano's Damn Diggy Da, I really felt was just pure fun. And that really came across on stage to me. It was one of my favourites of the whole selection, like for sure. I also really liked Goth Ministers We Come Alive. Again, a bit like all of them, this wasn't really a song I noticed until I saw the staging concept, because they went with this whole child having a nightmare concept, which I felt was something like really different for a song of this genre in terms of the staging. Like, I feel like typically for a song like this, you would expect big fire, big pyros, and there was none of that. It was quite dark. And like, it worked with the lyrics though, because like, again, you could imagine it having a nightmarish theme. So it just really, really worked. And I'm happy it got to the final, and I'm happy it did as well as it did in the final as well, because that was it. The staging was just really clever. Again, although I guess the issue with that one is I don't know how well they would have been able to translate that on the Eurovision stage, because obviously you're not allowed and like young like children on stage at Eurovision, so I don't know how well they would have translated that had that one, but it was still really, really good. In terms of semi-finals, that songs that didn't even make it to final, I really enjoyed "Mer" by Villavada. I thought this was just a happy boppy track in Norwegian. I know it probably wouldn't have done anything at Eurovision, but
That's one
I
I was
really enjoyed
shocked
it.
didn't make it through.
Yeah, I was really surprised because apparently he's really popular in Norway as well. So I was a bit shocked, but again, I think that was a strong semi as well. So,
Yeah, yeah,
and
like
he did perform first, so
Kaino
I think
Mia,
he,
big televote magnets. So
yeah. Um, I like that. I really enjoyed Frida's Heartache. It's definitely one of my most played songs of national final season this year. It's just a typical girly bop, and I really, really enjoyed it. I haven't got it in my notes, but I feel like we can't like not talk about the other songs and then not talk about My AI. I really enjoyed it. Um, I think the song's really fun. It was a throwback to the 90s, and obviously I was born in the 90s, so I really enjoyed it. It came on at Manchester Calling when I was there, and everyone was dancing along to it. So yeah, I was like, I really enjoyed it, but I'm kind of glad it didn't go to Eurovision because
same.
obviously since Melodi Grand Prix, we have had a lot of televote magnets be chosen. So I feel like Olvan was absolutely the right choice
Yeah,
for what was we've seen chosen after Melody Grand Prix.
I did like
Okay.
my AI, but I think the whole anonymous gimmick thing, it's been and gone now. I would have liked it just the same if it was Erica Norwich and Gåte Armisen. I think I think Stighausen's trying to make another subwoofer moment where it's just not going to happen. And
And to be
I don't think it needs to happen either because MGP in 2023 didn't have a gimmick like that and it got good ratings, it got a good result in Eurovision, and it's launched and that year launched Alessandra's career, who's now touring over Europe.
yeah, I I kind of feel like I'm not a big fan of the of Subwoofer song anyway, but I feel like it almost didn't do as well in Eurovision, I think, as NRK expected. I think NRK expected a top five out of
Yeah.
that song, and it just that didn't happen. Europe just weren't in the mood for that type of song in 2022. And I think I think a lot of people saw that if you looked beyond the costumes, that song was really quite generic. And there wasn't that much interesting about the song itself. Whereas I actually think My AI is more interesting as a
Yeah.
song than Give That Wolf a Banana was. It's a lot less generic. It's a lot less. I think it's a lot more divisive
Yeah.
as a song. I personally enjoyed it more, but I
Yeah.
get like not you don't. I feel like the problem with Norway sometimes is Norway has often the producer wants a gimmick a lot of the time. Like Tix was obviously a little bit of a gimmick, obviously not intentionally, but obviously with what he was wearing
Yeah.
with the angel wings. Then you had Subwoofer, and then they kind of shied away with that with Alessandra, and I think they should have. I think they should kind of stick with these more palatable stage shows because Alessandra worked, and obviously her EP is amazing, and her music after Eurovision has been amazing as well. So it's really started off her career. So,
Yeah.
and I feel like that Eurovision could do that. I think Gåte already have quite a strong career in Norway anyway, but I think like this could elevate it even more, and they could tour shows in Europe now as well.
Yeah,
So
I could see them maybe turning into something like Finland's Blind Channel or someone like that, where who they won't be selling out the biggest arenas, but they will consistently be able to sell out shows across Europe on maybe smaller scales.
I think let's just go back to Oliver for a minute and just like do a little bit of a prediction. How well do we actually think this will fare in Eurovision 2024? Obviously, at the
this
time of
is
recording, we've got 21 songs, I think, or 22. I'm not quite sure.
I
But
think Croatia made it 22.
okay.
I do not know. I think songs like this one, the televote never seem to be consistent on. I could see get 10 points, I wouldn't be shocked. I could see get 200, I wouldn't be shocked. Because some people see a song like that, they see Shum. Some people see a song like that, they see Fulen. It really depends how Europe is feeling on the night with songs like that, I think. And especially with stuff like Running Order and other songs that could pry points away from them. But I think if I would have to guess, I'd say top 10, maybe.
I'm kind of a little less on the fence with this one. I think this will do really well at Eurovision. I think it will do really well with the public. It has that Game of Thrones feel to it almost, like Denmark 2018 did, but in a very, very different way. And that has gone down really well with televotes in the past. Even when the songs are a little bit more generic as well than this, I think this stands out a lot more as a song than Denmark 2018 did.
Yeah.
I feel like this will score well with other Nordic countries and potentially Ireland too, as they can probably relate to this sound the most, like with the mythology within the song, within the staging. I think viewers also always love a good rock adjacent entry as well. I wouldn't necessarily say this is rock. I'd say this is more metal than rock, but it's metals and adjacent to rock, I would say. So I think with good staging, and I think this certainly has, like, if they make no changes to the Melodi Grand Prix performance.
I do think that the stage in Malmö could work very well for them as to how they could stage it with the cross shape.
Yeah. I think this song will stand out as being quite accessible to the non-typical Eurovision fan as well, because obviously we've had songs like Blind Channel do really well. And you always have that one song that's not as accessible to like the typical Eurovision fans that does really well. And I do feel like it could be this one. Just because it's so, I think there's something just so special about it, that it's definitely so special about the staging that it'll just make it stand out. And just I'm assuming it does reach the final. I don't think there's any worries or issues
would be
there.
incredibly shocked if it didn't.
Yeah, like I think it's in the weaker semi, currently speaking, and I would be incredibly shocked if it didn't reach the final, because I'm just assuming this will resonate with the public.
Yeah.
I think juries will really appreciate this as well, actually. I know juries don't typically appreciate folk or metal songs, but I think they'll appreciate how strong the vocal delivery of this live is. They will also appreciate how that the staging works really well with like this concept of the song. And I just think this will do very, very well for Norway. I don't know if it will win the whole contest.
I can't see that.
But if this came top 10 or even top 5, I would not be surprised. Like, yeah, I can't see it winning at the moment, but the top 5, I think, is definitely possible.
Part of me feels that maybe dark horse for jury winner.
Oh, absolutely.
Great vocals, a lot of allies with similar countries who will get it. We've already seen the great staging. And that's something I think that juries could eat up.
Like, because I think as well as the Nordics, I could see Ireland scoring this really highly. I could see us scoring this really highly. And yeah, I think it will. I think this will easily be top 5. I think it is a potential jury winner. I just think there's it's got everything right about it. Like, it's one of those songs I can't, like, it's not my favorite song this year, but there's nothing I can really fault with it.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing wrong as per se that I would say, oh, this definitely needs changing. Oh, juries definitely won't like that, or televoters definitely won't like that. I just don't think there's anything they need to fix. And I guess that could be an issue, that they could fix something that doesn't need to be.
Yeah.
But I don't see that. I kind of trust Norway when it comes to like how they stage their songs at Eurovision. So I guess my only last thing is, do we have any final thoughts on Melody Grand Prix 2024?
Yes, loads. Firstly, this was the first year that artists could reveal their songs beforehand. And they made a whole big song and dance about how if you see this Norwegian artist releasing a song that's, within the time frame, 3 minutes, let us know. Maybe there'll be an MGP. All but one of the songs was released on January 5th. So it just sort of feels like they phoned it in quite a lot because I'm not even Norwegian. I was looking at Norwegian artists like she's been on NRK shows before. It's a 3 minute song, has the good songwriters. It just feels a bit pointless if none of she didn't have a chance anyway because all of the songs weren't even out yet. And something else I want to touch on with Gåte being forced to rewrite some of their lyrics because of the 1,000-year-old folk chant or whatever. It just screams unprofessionalism. I think you clearly knew about the song months in advance. You should probably have picked up on it until after they'd already performed in their semi-final, because people had gotten attached to that song. And I think you were lucky that it stayed more or less the same, maybe even improved as a result of it. But it could have been handled a lot better by Stighausen and NRK. And I think it maybe contributes to a reputation that especially Stighausen has, as sort of a villain trope pantomime type villain, with especially on the online community. And finally, I want them to get rid of auto-tune because it's an unfair boost to the artists who do need it, and it's frustrating to see the artists who don't need it sort of trivialize their performance with it. Like Alexandra Rotan, incredible singer, we all know that. She doesn't need to use the auto-tune. It sort of threw me off that song a bit.
I just, I, I just think he's like Stig Carlson's just became so like laser focused on trying to get rid of the juries, not just in MGP but in Eurovision in general. I don't
That's
want to say that not like when you look at Norway's recent jury results, it's like you reap what you sow. Like they've not been doing well with the juries. I think they will this year. But it's like, don't you want to do better in Eurovision?
yeah, I they didn't
Like,
do well with the juries, but did they deserve to? I don't think so. I think we've all heard the outtake of Alessandra's jury performance, and if I was a juror, I wouldn't vote for that. And if I was a televoter on the night, I might have, because it was a better performance on the main show. So
like,
it just
yeah,
seems like a villain origin story to me, really.
like they've made no secret they hate the juries in Eurovision a lot, and it's like sometimes things are a you problem, they're not a
Yeah.
Eurovision problem. And they've already got rid of the juries in the semis, so you've kind of started to win like half the way, although I don't agree with getting rid of the juries in the semis for Eurovision, but that is a
No.
different conversation for a different day. um yeah, have we got any more thoughts that we want to get out there?
Good to have a song in Norwegian again, because especially in MGP in recent years, I think there was only two songs out of I think 18 in 2022 that were Norwegian. And it was almost seen as like, here are your token Norwegian entries. But now in the last 2 years we had Echo and Imai by Joan, which last year didn't win but became a big commercial hit in Norway. And now we've got the winner of the entire thing being in Norwegian. I think could open the doors to a lot more good Norwegian songs of any genre really being submitted to the competition, and people, especially people who maybe otherwise would have, who already sing in Norwegian, maybe translate to a English for the show wouldn't do that anymore.
I can't remember what year it was. I think it was 2021 where there was basically pressure from NRK to translate their songs into English for a final. I
Yep,
think
I
it's
think
2021.
Tix originally Norwegian and Stavanger Kammerlatin originally
Yeah,
Norwegian switched to English.
I think yeah, I feel like it was nearly everyone that had an original Norwegian song
Yeah,
switched to English for the final, and I'm glad that we didn't really see that this year. Obviously,
yeah.
can't remember. Yeah, there was one Norwegian song in Norwegian in the final, but I'm glad that that's kind of gone.
I don't think Gåte would have let them change it anyway. So
Yeah, so that I'm definitely really, really happy about.
yeah,
And I think it's probably about time to wrap this national final recap up. I would like to thank Daniel for joining me today. Um,
thank you.
if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up and also please subscribe to our channel so you can be notified whenever we have a new recap or a new interview come out. Also, be sure to check us out over at that Eurovision site. You can find us over at that Euro site on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Tumblr, Threads, and Blue Sky. It's a lot, but if there's a social media out there, we've got it. And
Yeah.
I think that's all that's left now is to say bye.
Bye.
Bye.